We are now.
We are. No, you know what I love about when we do a video? There's never any product placement.
Nah, never.
You know, it's all transparent above board. There's never product placement.
Spur of the moment things. You want to record? Yeah, all right, let's go.
Manufacturers never call us and say, "Can you talk about our product?"
No.
Mate, hi, I'm Ben.
I'm Jake.
We're from Hunt the Night. Now, if you haven't heard of us, it's because we've been very slacky making
MIA.
contact. Yeah, gosh. But
Yeah.
I mean, we'd say it every time. We want to try and do it consistently, but
Time. You mentioned it. Time.
We have 17 staff members here now, and it still doesn't feel like we can
Get on top.
of anything, let alone create content. So
Yeah.
we're sorry about that, but this is a video, A, we've been meaning to do for a while, but B, we're just waiting on a couple more products to really be able to do it.
Yeah.
And we're going to tell you what that is about after we talk about a few other little things.
Yeah.
Because the ever-changing world of thermal is still ever-changing.
It is.
You know, things are coming and going.
So are they getting better? Tough question.
No, it's not. It's still getting better. This video is primarily going to be dedicated to clip-ons.
Yeah.
Okay. We get a lot of calls, about 2 years ago or so, we did everything you need to know about thermal clip-ons, live Q&A online and stuff.
We should do a live Q&A
We're
one night.
going to start doing some live Q&As. I've got some stuff working on.
Oh,
We're going to
neat.
cover
I wanna get in on
reloading.
that.
We are.
Yeah.
Glass optics, how they work, how to choose them, all that other type of stuff. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're actually going to set it up hopefully as a monthly live Q&A,
Mm-hmm.
and all of you guys are going to be involved in doing a subject. Like we get Luke
sweet.
talking about reloading,
Yeah.
like, you know, and he's just wow. Joel,
Could do it at home.
shotgun maintenance and stuff like that. Like, yeah. But yes, the plan is to start doing a lot more live, interactive, stuff as well. But we did we did a presentation. It's called "Everything About Thermal Clip-ons," which is on our YouTube channel. But things have changed in the clip-on market dramatically in the last 12 months, and we're going to get to that first. But first, we're going to cover off some new bits and pieces that we've got. What do you got there, Jake?
Let's start with the new DNTs. We've got the Hound 635R. This is their first thermal monocular.
First thermal monocular.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say that this is much more like a rangefinder.
Yeah.
And they're kind of promoting it, I think, more as a ballistic rangefinder with thermal, rather than a thermal monocular with ballistic rangefinder. It is very, very similar to a rangefinder in terms of its size. It's very similar to a Lumi, in terms of size as well. But when you have a look at it, it almost looks like a Leica.
Yeah, it looks like a little Leica.
Handheld. I love all the colouring and stuff they put with it. Super fast ballistics in it, controlled via the app, 640 sensor, 35mm lens, $29.99 Australian.
Yep.
Like,
Great lens cap too. Oh my god.
yeah, it's hard to get off. You got to stop biting your
There we
fingernails. Exceptional value. But the thing that gets me it is like using a rangefinder.
It is.
Like the buttons are all like you've got your rangefinder here. Now it'll range. You've got your ballistics in this. It'll give you holdover solutions in both mil and MOA at the same time. The button setup is not so much about how you'd use it necessarily like a typical thermal monocular.
Yeah.
It is very geared around it being a rangefinder. Very cool device, and the image quality on it for its price point is exceptional.
Yeah.
It is. And tiny, 18650 batteries, all the good stuff that you want.
I do have to believe that, only an assumption, that Phil, who does a lot with ARC and DNT in Australia, is a big PRS shooter, and I reckon he had a mad input in this device, especially when it comes to, its looks and functions and whatnot. So.
And the other very exciting device, this thing is unreal. This is the new Hydra LRF. Now, the Thermtech Hydra has been out, 6 months or so?
The DNT.
The DNT? Yeah, sorry, the DNT Hydra. And it was pretty limited in what you could do with it because it had the battery aligned with the barrel, and things like that. This
had flaws.
Is
mid.
Fair income. This comes in both a 335. We are going to see a 635, so it's a 384 sensor 35mm lens and a 640 sensor 50mm lens at the moment.
Yeah.
$31.99 Australian these are at the moment. These are light and compact.
Very light.
And air rifle rim fires, like these are just brilliant. The mounting system on them as well, the quick detach mounts that you can actually get for it will work on split rails like on the Lithgow or the Bagaras, you know, as well, which solves a problem for rim fires.
Yeah.
But man, when the 635 comes, I'm sticking one on my stalking rifle or my harvesting rifle because it is so light and
very
compact.
light.
The full ballistics rangefinder, incredibly quick rangefinder, but the thing that does it the most, that eye box on the back,
It's huge.
it's huge.
Monster.
Now this can be...
Why? I was going to say, why is that huge?
Right, because we like them big.
Do we put that aside and save it for next segment?
Well, no, we'll talk about it. This can be used as a clip-on, but I wouldn't call it a clip-on, and we'll discuss
Forward
that.
mount.
Yeah, it's a forward mount.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that a little bit when we start talking about clip-ons and what this one is used for. But this is flipping unreal. Absolutely love it. Blown away. And then we've got the new stack over here from Hick Micro. Now, we haven't seen stock of these yet, but I'm planning to have a video up next week just going over the differences of field of view and how to select a field of view, because there's so much misinformation about field of view, okay? And these three units, the 19, the 25 and the 35 in the 3.0, if you haven't seen my other video review on the 25, the thing's unreal for its price.
It's amazing.
The only difference between these three units is field of view.
Correct.
They have the exact same sensor, the same software, the same algorithms. One is a wide angle, one is a medium angle, and one is a narrow. Okay? And we're going to go through explaining that a little bit more because there is so much crap out there with people, especially coming...
Emphasise the crap.
Emphasise the crap, right? About field of view and how to select it. So we're going to go through that and demonstrate that and how to select it. These are all 384 sensors. They're exactly the same, and all we're going to see is a difference in field of view.
Exactly.
But it's important to understand it, and it's really important. Field of view plays such a big part because the wider the field of view you go, the smaller everything is.
Exactly.
Okay, simple as that.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about walking through the bush, and there's a little preamble of what we're going to get into, and you're talking about deer hunting in the bush or whatever in the bush, and you're talking that 0 to 50, 0 to 70 meters, often 0 to 30, you want super wide field of view. Okay. Where you don't want that is on the top of your vehicle. If you're out harvesting, for instance, and we do a lot of dairy work, we do a lot of open plain work.
Long, you know, 500, 600, 700 meters complete, perfect line of sight.
Right, and what you don't want is a massive field of view like that, because it's very, very hard then to identify the difference between a sheep, a cow, well, a sheep and a calf, or a fox and a sheep. It gets really, really hard. So you want to narrow your field of view, okay? And we're going to start talking about it, how to select that, because there's a lot of misinformation. Some people are pushing products that are not suited for the job.
Yeah.
And we're just going to make it a little bit easier just to help clear that up a little bit.
Try and make it easier.
Yeah, try and make that easier anyway. How to select field of view, because it's 90% of our phone calls all day are talking about field of view. And it's not just in handhelds; it's in your scopes as well, because we want to stay away from digital magnification. You know, all that other type of stuff. So we'll get into that a little bit more in depth. Well, I say next week, but hey. Anyway, let's get into why we've assembled today and why we've left the boys downstairs without us to answer all the phones and everything else, because this is an important topic. Clip-ons. Jake, when you hear the word clip-on, and when you used to hear the word clip-on, especially before you started working,
hated it.
Why?
Honestly?
Yeah.
I just sort of shit.
Yeah, but why?
Who wants to clip? Well, my first ever thing with clip-ons that I heard of is, oh no, my scope's going to break having something so heavy on the front. That was no word of a lie, the first thing.
Yep. And
the second thing is it was ugly.
Yeah.
That's probably my two major things. Why not just get a scope?
Yeah.
Why not?
And that I think that is a valid question. For me, and that I think comes down to a personal decision, because I'm trying to think about, like, you know, out of all the toys I love heaps of them. You know, I mean, I've got some really nice thermal units, I've got some really lovely glass units as well. And now I'm leaning back towards running clip-ons. And it comes down to a simple thing for me is pound for pound, now, the magnification you get out of a clip-on over distance is so much better than most dedicated thermal scopes. Okay,
Well, think about that night we went out shooting the TQ out on the dairy farm. You're like,
Yeah, I know.
whoa, this is actually
the
mixed.
TQ50 is unreal.
It was unreal.
Because some things in technology have changed that make these even more viable. Okay, it used to be that clip-ons, they would have the same resolution screen, those 1024 screens in the back of them, as the same as the scopes. Okay, they had small diopter interfaces in the back or lens interfaces in the back. So you
lots of limiting factors.
Once you got to kind of 6 power, it's difficult to. It was difficult to justify a clip-on. It's like, well, we can get digital scopes, like dedicated scopes, starting at 4 or 5 base power and bigger. It's
probably the next thing onto that too is scopes started coming out with rangefinders. So it's like, well, I want ballistics in my clip-on, but it doesn't have a rangefinder. Well, I'm gonna have to run a dedicated scope.
Correct.
Then we looked at element modules, stuff like that. So it kind of I guess, put on the back foot a little bit until, I'd say, probably a good last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. And this is why we held off doing this video, because we'd had the TQ50 out for a bit.
Yeah.
And the TQ50 was an absolute game
unreal
changer.
cracker.
Okay? Running that high resolution screen in the back, which is now what we're seeing in these units here as well, makes these more usable.
Yeah.
And because when you use a clip-on, you're zooming in from here onto the back of a computer screen.
Correct.
Okay, and that's how you got to think about it. The closer you get to that screen, the more pixels you see. Okay, so in those smaller screens, you have a much smaller pixel density on those screens. So if you go from a 1024 screen to a 248 screen, now these are about 1920, but anyway. You actually have 4 times the amount of pixels in almost the same physical space. The screens are slightly bigger, but almost in the same physical space, which means you can zoom in a hell of a lot before you start getting image degradation. These new clip-ons we're running, we can run up to 18 power and it's still usable. You cannot do that in a digital scope, except if you step into things like the S75R, when you're getting bigger lenses, bigger sensors, so you've got more magnification. But you can't do that in your traditional 50mm type scopes with volume, because it turns to absolute crap. And you're actually seeing a lot less digital magnification in those scopes as you used to, as well. So to me, clip-ons are becoming so much more viable again.
They really are.
And then you got
this honey hole, this baby.
Holy shit. Right.
Now let's just put this in the spotlight at the moment.
Okay. We're going to talk about a little bit about how we're going to stick with pixel density for a second, okay? If you're going to select a thermal clip-on and you want to get the most out of it, you want to be jamming as much information on this rear screen as possible.
Yes.
Okay. And that comes from your size of the sensor here. So a 384 sensor's got about 108,000 pixels into the back of this screen.
Have you counted them?
Yeah, individually.
Oh, good.
Yeah, except the dead ones.
Just now.
A 640 sensor has got about 320,000.
Yep.
In the back.
That would have 640,000.
No, it's 4 times the amount.
Oh.
Because the sensor is 4 times as big as the 640 sensor. About 12,000 pixels. I think.
I was going to get the calculator
actually, can you grab your calculator and multiply it out? But it's going to be...
What'd you say?
1280 by 1024. That's the size of the sensor.
1,310,720.
Yeah.
You're going to count them for me tonight to confirm, aren't you?
On the back of this screen. Okay? That's an absurd number. Because that's what we're zooming in on.
Yeah.
The image quality out of these 1280 sensors is phenomenal. Now, when we say...
1280
This
sensor.
1280, well, that's the only clip on the market at the moment, is 1280, okay? So when we talk about jamming as many pixels here on the screen, we don't do a lot with 384 sensors, unless it's kind of a 1 to 8... 2 to 6 style scope. You aren't going to get too much more, still above that kind of 4 or 5 power, because when you magnify...
All your clip-ons have a limiting... We use it in with the boys in that is like a limiting maximum zoom. Like you can zoom a 384 in a 25 times zoom, but you're not going to see
you can't.
anything.
No, it's akin to digital zooming.
It's like
on
we
the
give you
scope.
like
Correct, you're right. But starting with the 640s, you get, and these high resolution screens, you definitely get enough usable pixels,
100%.
so to speak, to get that magnification up there. Different to the older screens, again, with the older versions of the 640s, you'll still kind of cap to that 6 to 8 power. These are just blowing my mind what you can do with them.
Yeah.
The Noctix Ultra, which we've both been using, we both have one of these, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is.
That thing tanks 20 times zoom.
It is unbelievable.
I shot that on 20 times zoom.
I have not seen a device like that. The only thing that, I had two concerns about this, okay? My first concern was this is a battery in line with the barrel, and we have a standard at this shop that we don't sell battery aligned with the barrel equipment above a 223, okay? Because of under recoil. This battery moves. But the way they have designed this battery,
it's in an awesome compartment.
It can't move because of the way they've designed it. It's not. I wouldn't call it a spring-loaded battery. No. Now I've run this on my 7mm PRC.
I've shot that on the 308, no dramas.
Yeah, and there's absolutely no issue with it. The only thing I don't like is the controls on the left-hand side.
It's not ambidextrous.
It's not. It's right hand. It's right hand only, man. And regardless, you do get a really good remote control with it, which I mount next to my stock. I'm not reaching forward very much, but you can't use that focus.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and that for me is a bummer, because this is a device that everyone should experience.
Yeah, 100%.
It is really, really nice. We've got the new Thermtech as well, which is in a 640 sensor, and it is unreal. Again, the high resolution screen out the back, but the rangefinder
in the lens.
Well, it's not in the lens. It's on the outer rim.
In the lens cap.
Well, it's in the lens cap. It's not interfering with the actual lens, which is something I love. I also love this new on-off. It's a flick on.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yep. That sleep and off.
That's mint.
It is absolutely cool, and the imaging on it is just.
And now stunning. Removable batteries too.
And the Hunt.
Oh, the Hunt.
The Hunt Pro already had removable batteries.
Yeah.
These ones have got the same battery system as the Hunt Pro. But let's talk about how we're going to select a scope though for a clip-on, and then we're going to get into some of the questions from the Facebook group. Okay. Because we're going to answer some of those questions as we do it. Because there's a few considerations in doing this, okay? First is first or second focal plane. I'm going to start there because I reckon that has a lot to do with usable magnification and as well because of reticle size.
Yes.
So for instance, if you go to a 3x18 first focal plane, you start with a very fine small reticle. But if you go like this 1 to 8, by the time you get into 4 power, that reticle almost takes up the whole screen, right? So I reckon reticle choice is actually quite important.
This is where it comes back to a lot of, we've got all these long range shooters, PRS boys, stuff like that are they're not just getting into thermals, but they're dipping into clip-ons because they get to use the scopes they love to use with their reticles. I think they just have a lot more confidence in shooting with their gear they use all the time.
I would say for me, kind of 3 or 4 power is your base you want to start at. Okay. Now it used to be it had to kind of be 2 power because of the way the menu systems were set up, but all of these now you can change the size of the menu. So as you get up in high magnification, you can still see your battery indicator, your rangefinder, and so on.
Some of them change the menu
themselves. The Noctix is unreal. The Noctix has actually got a little device that sits on here. They call it Magic Zoom, and have you got it in there? And as you can, I left my mate at home because I was using it last night. Anyway, and you calibrate it to different magnification levels, and as you zoom, the menu actually it all changes automatically for you. That is one of the coolest features on that. The little thing that sits on there. But like these little LPOs are cool, except I find when you get into the reticles in them, they get very, very busy on the screen for me, okay? I like a nice, pretty clean first focal plane illuminated. You want illuminated because most of these reticles are black, and if you're shooting on black hot, it's very, very difficult to see the reticle. But then as I expand that up, it's not too busy. This Zero Tech I've actually just put on. Oh, not this one. What did I put on?
You got a trace 3 to 18.
Trace 3 to 18.
Hunter LR reticle, first focal plane.
That is beautiful for clip-ons.
Talk about memory.
I know. Well, that's because we're trying to find it today for an order. And well, it's on Ben's rifle. Anyway, I got a different one. But for me, reticles like that are absolutely fantastic. Now, the reason why I think you've got to start with focal plane is because if you're going to use ballistics, you've got to know your holdover, which is going to come down to really first. You can have ballistic reticles, but it's, for me, that's where we start.
100%.
Right? Do you run or run ballistics? Okay. Parallax adjustment. It's important, but not necessary.
No.
It will help you clean the image up in those higher magnifications, but it's not as necessary as if you're using a parred clip-on that clips on the back of the scope, where without parallax you can't focus that image. Quality of glass isn't important either.
Nah, look, I've been running it on. I'm running it on a Arken 4 to 16. I've got it on a GPO. I've had it on the Leica. I've got it on a Zero Tech at the moment.
No, and the reason why glass doesn't matter is because where glass really performs well is light transmission. Well, when you're sticking an AMOLED screen in front of it, you're not worried about light transmission. Okay. Typically speaking, the bigger the bell housing, the more usable magnification you will get as well.
I've noticed that.
Correct. Because it's like when you stick that box in front of that scope, right, or this end here, right? I can almost that bell housing there is almost the same size as the box. If we do it to that little by 30 scope there, it's a much smaller part. So it's already initially seeing a small amount. You don't get the effect of field of view out of these scopes when you've got a clip-on attached to them. Okay. So if you want more magnification, start with a by 50 style scope. You can kind of get away with it by 44, but by 50 by 56, I find is the absolute sweet spot.
Would you say tube size has a factor in it at all?
No, because all tube does is give you windage and elevation adjustment.
Perfect.
It's not. There's no.
I'm just clearing it up for everyone.
Yeah, okay. So guys, the only difference between a 1 inch of 30 and a 34 mil, besides the size of it, is internal elevation. That's why your hunting scopes are typically 1 inch, or 30 at the most. Because you're not, especially if you're shooting close range, you don't need all that. But anyway, but that does get us on to, do we need to zero them?
No, just clip it on and go.
Hey, I couldn't get hold of my 180 grain SST 308 ammo anymore for some reason. I was out of it. I'm going to go to a Norma 180 soft point. You reckon I need to check my zero?
No, send it.
Just send it? You should be right. Okay, it's the exact same conversation. Anytime you make a change to your rifle, you need to put it on paper. Now, these units, they do go through a process in the factory. It's called culmination, which is aligning the pixels with a target, so to speak, and generally they're pretty close out of the factory, but they do need to be checked and probably adjusted, and they're easy to do. Most of it you can freeze now and adjust it. You can measure them if you're doing it at 100 meters. You can just measure it in millimeters and make the change.
And they are very accurate.
They're incredibly accurate. Okay. If you want to though, because and this is and I'm going to touch on this in a second. When you move the image, it has to move a certain number of pixels at a time, okay? Because when you zero this and we're taking at a target, what we're effectively doing is, say my point of impact is just to the right of this, okay? and I'm aiming at this, okay? What I'm doing in the clip-on is moving the image until it's under the reticle. The point of impact is under the reticle, okay? Now that's the direct opposite as if we're zeroing a dedicated scope where you're moving the reticle to the point of impact. Okay, and that's why when you look at a clip-on, the screen is a little bit crimped. It doesn't use the complete outer edge of the screen because it needs that ability to culminate it.
Is that in saying that you could technically say a clip-on is backwards towards a scope?
Yeah, in terms of zero.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Okay. But I will say though, if you want the most accurate thermal platform on the market, it is a clip-on. The reason being is when you zero a dedicated scope a color reticle is 3 pixels wide. It has to move 3 pixels. Okay. This is why a high resolution screen is better for zeroing. And technically, your increments on a 384 is smaller across the screen because it's actually got a lower pixel density than a 640 because of the field of view in the same sensor and lens size. So if you're talking about a 50mm lens, a 384 sensor is going to be more accurate to zero than a 640 because on the same size screen, okay? Because of the way the pixels have to move.
Learn something every day.
Right. You don't get that with this. We shift this, but if we need to tweak it, we've got this.
Yes.
And this is the most accurate you're going to get. In terms of your turrets. Okay. So if you need absolute precision, a clip-on is better than a dedicated scope. Ta-da! Anyway, I'm going to get flamed by some people, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait.
You're going to get killed.
Mate, I've been working with clip-ons for years. I absolutely love them. Right. Let's talk about the downsides.
The downside?
Weight.
Oh, the weight.
Yep. Clip-ons aren't all rainbow and truffles.
No.
They are heavy. You're going to add weight to your scope.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Okay. My setup with the clip-on and my glass scope is about 1.5 kilos. That is about 300 grams more than my 75R, or a little bit less. Right, that's some weight.
Yeah, that is some weight. Especially when you're stalking with it.
And my 75R.
You ute shooters, don't worry about what we're talking about in weight. Just put your gun on the dash and go.
Well, I mean, when I'm building the lightest weight builds that I can, you know. So, but no, it's a consideration because if you're walking around, right?
Yeah.
Like we often are to get into properties that we manage. That's a fair bit of weight.
It is.
Okay.
And it all adds up.
It does all that because I could throw something like that on here, and I think these off the top of my head about 300 or 400 grams. They're so light.
Yeah.
There's a kilo difference there. It's huge. Okay. But if I'm shooting from a static platform like a tripod, it makes no difference. If I'm shooting in my vehicle, it makes no difference.
Exactly.
Okay. But where the advantage though is that you get out of this too is we might go between a couple of different properties and have a couple of different firearms with us, and I can just
bang.
Click
I'm going to put on this. Oh, there's a rabbit. I'll put on my air rifle.
Correct, right? They're rapid interchanging, you know, as
modularity.
Well. Modularity. If I'm happy with my day scope setup and I want to, because we do a lot of load development, we do a lot of testing of rifles and stuff, a lot of it is glass, I can just leave it on there and I don't have to worry, okay? But weight is definitely a consideration.
And these have been panning out great for people that, you know, don't hunt all through the night. You know, they go early arvo, have their glass scope. Oh, it's getting a bit dark, dusky. Bang! I'll put my clip on.
Correct.
Yeah, they get that couple extra hours out of shooting.
And we're often doing that too when we're out on dusk and we're trying to catch, you know, certain animal species in paddocks. We know they're going to be in on dusk before they head off to other shoulders and stuff like that. You know, we're often doing that as well. And sometimes thermal is not the best, you know, for that. Because thermal as well, when you're trying to use it during the day, and I don't like using an eye cup, it's difficult to see as opposed to a glass scope. So these can be transferred quickly. Using good adapter systems like these Rusan adapters, it's back to zero every single time. I do it. I don't even check it anymore. I zero it. I take it on and off, and it's bang on. I was playing with my air rifle the other night, just taking it on and off, shooting at a fence post. It's like
why not?
Exactly the same.
Oh, well, this comes off the gun every night. Gets locked away.
Correct.
Separate to the guns.
Yeah. So like a good, you know, like any quick detach system as well, these are returned to zero. Now you might get a different shooting profile of zero between different rifles.
Yes, correct.
And that can do with the size of the bell housing as well. But these all have 4 or 5 different profile stores in them, like a traditional zero scope anyway, so you can just quickly change it between them. Oh, going back to first, we talked about ballistics, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, correct, because these will give you ballistics holdover and stuff as well.
Just on the cons quickly, another big one I noticed. Not so bad here, but when you go here, you've got quite a lengthy boy there.
Yeah, I get told that. Yeah.
It is overall.
It is overall.
It is
it does add a bit of weight to the front of the gun.
It adds a lot of length to it too.
Yeah. And you are reaching forward further to do things like focus and all that other type of stuff too.
That's where these come in handy.
Yeah, except they won't focus, but it will start your recording.
Yeah, for your menu stuff and that.
You can alternate these between a monocular as well. We have these attachments. Now, it's not as good as a dedicated monocular, but if you're walking around and you've got your gun on your back, so this could also be a cost savings for those who can't afford to do both. That gives me a 2.5 times base mag.
Yep.
Okay. Now, these are always going to be one base mag at the screen here.
Yes.
Okay. So as this lens system here, it takes it, because natively a 640 sensor is going to have about 2.8 base mag. It reduces it down to 1, so you get a 1-to-1 shooting ratio. When I put this on, it creates a 2.5 base monocular. So it doesn't matter if you stick that on a 384 or whatever. It's a 2.5.
Yep.
You can be walking around using this as a monocular.
Bang.
And clip that on your scope. Okay. Then weight's not an issue for you, because this isn't going to be heavy.
You've saved the monocular.
And I've saved the monocular. Overall weight's actually a little bit less, as well. So, you can do that as well. We have attachments, for that type of stuff. One question from Leroy. He wants to know if you use your clip-on in the shower, Joe.
Yes.
Apparently he's asking for a friend, but I think he's the friend.
Them videos are coming for you, mate. I'll respond to that.
I'm just going to read some of these questions and see if we've changed, if we mixed it. Yeah, look, okay, there's one question here. If image quality at both base mag and with zoom is the main requirement and main use, is foxing at between 1 and 200 motors, is a dedicated thermal scope better than a clip-on? I'm going to say, I don't know what you want to say.
Is it better? Is it dedicated for 100 to 200? I would say dedicated is.
No.
You don't reckon?
No.
For just foxing, for just 100 to 200, or say
okay.
200.
Right. No, but if we're talking about pure image quality, right? I would say, because you're at 200 meters, you're digital zooming to shoot.
Unless you're on a 5.5 base.
Unless you're using something like an Aries 360 or something like that, something with a big lens and a 384 sensor. Then you've got a very, very narrow field of view to work with. Okay, it's a very narrow field of view.
It is.
So it's going to be hard to pan and find anything. If you're shooting from a tripod, you're constantly going to be going between the two pretty quickly.
Exactly.
Okay? Where between 1 and 200, I could run a 1 to 8, because I can shoot a fox at 8 power and 200, or I can run this 3 to 18.
Could.
Right? And I'm going to have better image quality than I would if I'm in a very narrow focused 384 60mm.
I see where you're coming from.
Scope. Okay. Now, if you go put the RS75 on, or an XL60, when you get into the 60mm type lenses, you could probably toss a coin and go, but I still think by the time you start throwing digital zoom in, especially with something like an Ultra.
The way I looked at that question is, if I've got one purpose on shooting foxes out to 200, one, you don't need the modularity.
No.
You really, if you said, hey, I'm shooting foxes and deer, well, that's a different story, but just shooting foxes out to 200,
I think if the question, if we read the question,
it's a tricky one. I think, yeah.
If you read the question is pure image quality better in a clip-on? Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to say that. Okay. Yeah. But are there good enough dedicated thermal scopes to 100% identify a fox at 200 meters every day of the week?
Yes.
Much cheaper than
that
a
was
setup
my next
like this?
point. Yeah.
100% there is. Right. You're pound for pound, you're going to be paying more for a clip-on than you are, once you buy all your adapters and stuff like that, then you are a dedicated thermal scope, okay? Except that one, that 1280, because there's 75.
No, it's 60R.
Yeah, by the time you get your clip on, by the time you get your bits and pieces and so on.
But you can't, going on that, this is where going down a lot of laneways at the moment, going on that, if you say, yes, this here, by the time I've got 3 adapters is going to work out, more than an S60R. But you don't have 3 S60Rs.
No, you don't.
You have this modularity between 3 different rifles.
Yes.
So you've got to look at it both ways.
Yes.
You really do. You can't just say, oh, it's going to work out more.
No, but where these also are really good though is like, you know, having a dedicated thermal scope is fantastic if you've got a Picatinny platform and you want. Sorry. If you want the versatility of a dedicated, be able to change it, right? Okay, but when you start throwing stuff like bloody Styres into it, CZ rim fires, like all these things that it's rim fires, all these things that it's hard to get.
Bruno's.
Yeah, to get Picatinny rails for
the Ringo JW15A.
Correct. Or they've got a split rail weaver system instead of a right. What do you do? Right? You're stuck in quite a rudimentary system, and the eye relief out of a dedicated thermal scope isn't nearly as good as a glass scope.
No.
So when you're talking about Seiko 95s or 85s, whatever they are, which you can't
any Seiko,
you know, where you've got your rails up here, but your eye relief's got to be back here. That's hard to do with a dedicated thermal scope, right? So the idea behind these clip-ons is you retain that that setup. You know,
your gun stays your gun. You're just adding something on the front of it.
But if you're like me and you've got Bagaras, Tikas, and you know wedge tails, and you're just switching them between them, and they're all a full-length Picatinny rail, it's not an issue.
No.
It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, really. It comes down to dual use purpose, and then the cons of really weight and leaning forward. They're kind of the only cons that are.
But that saying that's a con, you don't notice it. You really, in leaning forward, you don't notice it.
No, you don't.
It's just habit. Once you get used to it, you don't know. The weight you do,
you
might notice a little.
Yeah, no, it's not. You know, I 100% agree. The weight, if you're walking around with it. But again, if you're shooting from the tripod, you don't notice it because it's on a tripod.
Exactly.
It's not. Well, guys, there you go. That's what we are
currently playing with. Me and Ben are currently playing with a couple of these.
In these.
And Ben's got a hunt on as well.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to see quite a bit of footage. Where's the S75? Got dust on it yet?
Is it in here? No, it's in my gun. It's you know where it is. You know when it's bad when it's in my gun safe at home, because where do I keep my guns?
Oh, your guns are here.
And that one's in my safe at home. I haven't used my S75R in a little bit because I'm playing with these clip-ons. That Mate Ultra.
It's just so good.
That Mate Ultra is just unbelievable.
Just to reiterate, this is the only 1280 clip-on
currently
on the market. And we are still.
No, sorry. No, I think Guide have one.
Who?
I think they do, but anyway. That thing is stunning. Absolutely stunning. And I like they built it with the 60mm lens.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the bigger the lens, the better the image quality and sound. It is stunning, that. Yeah.
Can't wait to take it to the shower later.
Well, I reckon we've kind of wrapped up.
Oh no, one thing we never wrapped up on.
What?
Or did we wrap up on the rail-mounted clip-ons?
Oh, okay. Yes, no, we didn't. We talked about this one. Okay. Ooh, so the DNT, but this one more specifically, because that one there can be mounted either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the cool thing about this.
The DNT, well, it's cool, but it's also limited.
It is.
If you've got like an extended Picatinny rail, like a Taco one, or a wedge tail, or an MTR, or Taipan, or something like that, these actually mount in line in front of the scopes. Okay, but they're incredibly limited in terms of what you're using them for. You're running 1-8s, and you're not getting much past kind of 2 power out of it. They are very, very limited. But where these are unreal in these low variable power optics as well is helicopter shooters. Shooting pigs. Dennis.
Yes.
Right. Is doing a lot of that with this style of scope. He's using the Mate at the moment. We're setting up a special quick detach attachment, which is coming.
So he's running something like this,
like that in front of it. Okay, absolutely unreal, for that style of shooting. But when you see like the Hydra advertised as a clip-on, it's a forward-mounted clip-on, but it's not. I wouldn't sell it as that.
And people have done this in the past. Yeah, there've been other devices like that.
No, there had been. Yeah, but you just got to understand that when they promote these ones as a clip-on,
we're looking at this thing as a scope. Lightweight scope, ballistic rangefinder,
or even just as a handheld.
It's tiny. Wow,
it is tiny. It's small, and they fix the battery because it now goes in through the side. So we do also have the quick detach Picatinny mounts for these now too, which are unreal. for all the DNTs. I reckon that was about it.
Wraps it up.
Guys, if you've got any questions you want us to follow up on, drop them in the comments, because on our next episode we'll review it if we've missed anything, because this is a really in-depth subject.
Yeah, it is.
And sometimes we get down these rabbit holes and we forget what we're talking about and miss something we're going to talk about.
Don't hurt, just give us a call and ask.
Yeah, correct.
We're very knowledgeable with clip-ons. We all use them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're, like I said earlier, me and Ben are going to be playing with these for quite some time, I reckon.
Oh, that Ultra, I'm not giving up, and the 650L, I'm not giving up either. It's both of them are unreal. That Ultra is just. To answer Jack's question though, Jack Horner, great guy, left hand. Look,
This shines.
and the TQ50. Yeah. I do the focus up the top. Anything that's not relied on anything on the left, unfortunately. Yeah, it's the nature of being stuck with, in a dominant right-hand industry, I'm sorry. But yeah, anything where your button systems are up the top and your focus is up the top, then it's going to be fine, because even some of the earlier versions of the mate with the rangefinders, they're on the wrong side for left-handers and you couldn't focus because it was front focus and stuff like that, as well, where these are much more ambidextrous.
Yeah.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Good to be back in the chair. Yeah, we love chatting.
Good to get into that.
I know, except you left your phone, all it's been doing is buzzing, and we need to probably get back to calls. Oh, we've got a voice downstairs.
That'd be fine.
Yeah, Jake doesn't want to leave the only air-conditioned space in the building. It's my office area.
Vote a petition, aircon downstairs.
Yeah, we're going to, it's going to be funded by the social club.
Oh,
you're going to have to start the
I'm
social
going to
club.
start a GoFundMe.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and can't wait to chat to you again.